and good evening. My name is Jerry Odom. I'm running for Congress in the 2010 election, 2nd District, Omaha, Nebraska. Why am I doing this? It is simple. It is my time to lead. You can choose someone who might lead or someone who will lead and back it up with a written guarantee and no more empty promises. To the supreme law of the land, we the people, and the United States Constitution. Also, I rise with a purpose. I believe in every fiber of my being that there is something fundamentally wrong, and I think most of you feel it too. It can only be likened to how our founders must have felt in the days and months leading up to the Revolutionary War. And what must have seemed like impossible odds, but yet they prevailed. Without the internet, without any of the tools that we have today, they gathered, they planned, and they won. Not only did they establish the greatest freedom on earth, but from their sacrifice, they gave us a blueprint, a foundation for balance. They did, however, give us a few very clear warnings in the hope not to repeat history. They warned us of the evils of big government, that limited government and liberty will be our mandate. And 200 years later, they were right. We find ourselves in a very similar position. I consider the people who constitute a society or a nation as the source of all authority in that nation. Thomas Jefferson. This is the kind of thinking that created this nation, and this is the kind of thinking that will restore it. But it all starts with you, like our founders. We must take a stand right now, today, more than any time in our history since the birth of our nation. We must rise to the occasion to stand with one voice to protect our unique civilization. There's a lot of talk about a remade America. We must reject the notion that Americans need to be taken care of by an all-powerful government. That was never the vision. The reason we have been a great nation for the last 200 years is because we embrace creativity and we have an understanding that self-government or self-governance is key. Americans can stand on their own. We can make our own decisions. And if we fail, we will learn from our mistakes and we will press forward. That is who we are. That is in our genetic DNA. Failure is not the end, but only the beginning. And without failure, we cannot learn. If you don't believe me, just look at history and how many great discoveries were actually failures. So, in fact, America does not need to be remade. It needs to be restored. It needs to be refounded on the same ideas, the same principles that were put in place long ago. And the sacrifice of our founders must be upheld. Their vision has served us well for many years. Small, limited government, liberty and freedom. We must truly put aside any perceived differences. We built this nation together. We will defend it together. That is a fact. But decisive action, not words. Our founders knew this, and to win and establish the greatest freedom, they knew that they would have to stand as one for the greater good of their futures, our futures, put aside any fears, and stand as Americans, as a united people. And they did just that. Today, countless acts of corruption, deception, empty promises, a total lack of integrity, is destroying our futures right now. Just look around. And for what? The quest of power? Material items that will never stand the test of time? It's time to stop bypassing the fundamental ideas that created the greatest freedom on earth by those pretending to be patriots. It's time to restore this constitutional republic, to restore accountability, to restore common sense, to restore liberty. And it is time for all of those who have betrayed the U.S. Constitution, broken our laws, to be held accountable for their actions. We must send a message that the culture of corruption will no longer be tolerated. The time for courage is now. We can no longer stand by and say, no, we can't do anything. We are many in numbers. We outnumber. And we know that Washington has a cancer. And we the people, along with the U.S. Constitution, are the only cure. How many of you out there are mothers and fathers? As a father, I see that there is clear and present danger to my daughter's future. And I am compelled to do everything in my power to protect my daughter's future. If not, I am a failure as a father, a parent, and an American. After all, is that not the real reason we send our young men and women around the world to fight and protect freedom? So that tyranny doesn't come to our shores? There is no greater force than the force of the love of a child combined with that of the force of freedom. An idea that can't be bought or killed off or discredited. This is our greatest reason to take this stand. My little girl, her name is Natalie. She is only 3 years old. She has her entire life ahead of her, and her future and her freedom of every man, woman, and child in this nation is up to us. Is that simple. We will prevail. Freedom is in our DNA. But if you will not stand, then you are complacent. If you bury your head in the sand for too long, you will suffocate. The time for action is now. The time for leadership has come. Please keep watching. There's more to come. Because the fight for the future has already begun nationwide. And that is the truth. Leadership, principles, common sense will be our path.
Americans have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Of all the ideas that became the United States, there's a line here that's at the heart of all the others. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. People don't talk that way anymore.
Beautiful. Huh. No idea what you said.
It means if there's something wrong, those who have the ability to take action have the responsibility to take action.